let's get right to it. So it's good to see you guys. I missed you when I was gone on vacation last week, but it was really nice to take some time for family and get to disconnect. But I'm pumped to get back to business. Quick announcement. So I shared it on the last 2 weeks, but I just want everybody to mark their calendars. If you have not done the original mindset program that we did last year and the year before, so if you weren't a part of Fitme then, or you just didn't get to go through it, we're going to be doing a mindset workshop on the 24th. And so on the 24th of February, we're doing a mindset workshop. It's going to be about 90 minutes long. We'll go through all the materials together, have some really good discussions. You'll fill out a little workbook, all that good stuff. So just mark your calendars if you haven't done that. We'll do it our normal coaching call time. I think we set it for 4:00, but I'll confirm and send that out for you guys. I think that's the only announcement. Tonight's topic is portion sizes. And I love this topic because often, so everybody, you all filled out an assessment when you joined Fitme. And since this, think back in November when we launched Fitme 2.0, we revamped that assessment. But both assessments, no matter when you came in, included questions about portion sizes. And this particular piece is one that I would say like 8 out of 10 people are a little bit like, I'm not sure. Like sometimes people are saying, I know what to eat. I just have no idea what my portion sizes should be. Or I know that I overdo it, or I know that I'm undershooting. So I'm confident I'm not doing my portion sizes, and I'm just not sure how to do them. And so goal of tonight's call is to give you a little bit more information around portion sizes so that you can use it and feel more confident about portion sizes. And it's not just portion sizes. If you saw the title of tonight's call topic, it's portion sizes and listening to your body. So those things go together, right? Because at the end of the day, we're not robots. We're not something like that some magical calculator can just like spit out something for us and tell us exactly what our mechanical body needs. We're humans. We have things that impact how our body responds to food. That could be anything from our hormones to our muscles, to our age, to our diet history. So listening to our bodies is sort of our fast track way of paying attention to portion sizes. And so what I want to give you first permission to know is that in any nutrition coach or fitness coach would tell you this, is that sometimes you're actually doing an experiment of one. And what I mean by that is sometimes you're going to say, well, I think that this is the right portion size for me. I'm going to try it. And then I'm going to pay attention to what happens, how I feel, how I respond, and then I can make an adjustment. So again, it doesn't even matter how experienced somebody is. Sometimes portion sizes need to be adjusted based off of what you are observing in your own body. So I just wanted to start this conversation with that. Everybody's portion sizes might be different for a variety of different reasons. I'm going to go into those first. And then, even then, because we are all sort of dynamic humans with different factors, you may actually have to adjust your portion sizes based on your goals. Okay, so what impacts portion sizes? First off, because one thing I think we probably all could guess is that they're not the same, right? A portion size for a toddler is not the same as a portion size for an 18-year-old boy, is not the same for a postpartum mom who is nursing, is not the same for great grandma, right? We can easily all agree that everybody I just listed, portion sizes would be different. So what factors go into what is the right portion size for you? Well, one of those factors can be the season of life that you're in. Growing, right, as a youth or an adolescent versus an adult who's at a stable weight, versus someone who is maybe in their senior years. Those can impact your portion sizes. Another thing that impacts your portion sizes is the size of your body. Now, I'm not talking about stored body fat, even though that does play a factor, actually. Stored body fat does play a factor, but I'm also talking about your size, sort of by design, right? So some people are smaller than others. So if you are a 4'11" woman, your portion sizes will likely always be different than a 6'4" male. You're a different size human, and so your portion sizes are going to be different. You're going to need less food to support your body. So again, might be impacted by your age, could be impacted by the actual size human that you are. And then portion sizes also are based off of your goals. If your goal is to lose weight, your portion size might be different than someone's goal that's to gain weight, or someone's goal that is to stay the same, versus someone's goal that might be doing maybe a reverse diet where they're trying to build back calories. It might be different than someone who is training to compete in a marathon, and their portion sizes are based off of that goal. So step one in determining your portion sizes is understanding what your goal is. What is your goal right now? So let's talk about some of the goals. If you want to share your goal just for the sake of a conversation, you could drop it in the chat box. Like, what is your goal right now? And then that might be helpful for framing how we talk about portion sizes. And if you guys don't put them in, then I'm just going to give you some examples. Weight loss. Okay. What other goals? Fixing metabolism after babies. Like it. Any other goals that we can talk about for portion sizes? I'm going to put weight loss and decrease inflammation. Like it. Reverse dieting, trying to get more calories in, training for swimming. I like it. Okay. So this is why I like talking about goals first. Sometimes we have more than one goal. We might want to train for a cool thing like swimming, but we also want weight loss. Those goals actually might be in conflict with each other when it comes to portion sizes. And so this is kind of why we're talking about this way. So if we take our Fitme plate, which I think for most of us is a really good reference of like how to build a balanced plate. What kind of foods do we choose? Mostly real foods. Building from Fitme plate inspired stuff is great for the most part. If that's how we're eating, we've got that as an agreed upon. Okay, got it. Now tell me how much to eat. If you are trying to build muscle or compete in a sport, you typically need to have a portion size that is adequate for your body's needs. That means not less. So if you're growing, so like say you're a teenager or you're whatever, none of us are teenagers, but for example, you need enough food for your body, maybe even a little bit more. If you're a nursing mom, if you're recovering from an injury, if you're preparing for a competition, if you are reverse dieting, so you're trying to build up your calorie tolerance, you're going to need the amount of food that your body needs, maybe a little bit more. You're like, okay, well, tell me how much that is. And most people actually, so that's like a small portion of people, but I think again, we're just covering the basics here. You cannot be in a deficit, less food than your body needs to accomplish those kinds of goals very well. You're going to have a cost for it. So for example, I've had people tell me like, oh, I just had knee surgery. This is going to be a perfect time to lose weight. Or, oh, I just had, elbow whatever. And I have elbow tendonitis and I have to take 6 weeks off the gym. So this is going to be a perfect time. I'm going to cut my calories. And I'm like, you're not going to heal because our bodies just don't like to do that. We need adequate calories to heal. It is not a great time to cut calories. Same thing with super stressful situations where you're going to have like maybe so much going on. Your body's under a lot of stress. Not a great time to cut calories. So with that being said, if we start with, okay, we understand we need to know what our goal is. If we're trying to do certain things, we need enough food and we might need a little bit more. If we're trying to lose weight, We actually need a hair less than what our body wants, to stay the same, because we don't want to stay the same, right? If you're telling me you want weight loss, we're not trying to stay exactly the same. We're trying to lose weight. So what are those portion sizes? So our guide in the Fitme plate is typically geared towards women. It's just a starting point. So when we say that a portion size of protein is approximately the size of your hand, that's a good estimate. If you look at some other estimates, they actually say for men, it is 2 palms. Why? Because generally males are larger. So they're going to need more. They're going to need a larger portion size. For us, when we talk about a portion size of carbohydrates, we're usually talking about a tennis ball size as a guide. If we're talking about fat, we're talking about 1 or 2 thumbs together. That's about a portion size of fat. And if we're talking about, I think I hit them, fat, protein, carbs. Okay. So we hit them. And veggies. For us, we usually talk about veggies being half of the plate. So we're filling up the plate with volume. Now, say you are doing that. So you're like, okay, Christy, I got it. I am trying to lose weight and I am going to use those portion sizes. And you pay attention to it and we're eyeballing it. You also want to pay attention to how your body feels. You might feel like you have a little bit of room left over at dinner. That's okay. I for one, thought it was strange to go from the feeling of feeling stuffed to feeling like, oh, I just have a little bit of room left. It doesn't mean you're still starving, but you might have a little bit of room left. That might tell you that you're like in that window of being slightly less, right? So your portion size, maybe you are using that portion size as a guide, but you're finding that your workouts are, and you do CrossFit 5 days a week. You actually might need more carbohydrates. You actually might need a portion and a half of carbohydrates. I think once we get into these, like you might need this, you might need that, you might need this. This is really where your coach is going to become super helpful for you. It's what is your goal? You should pay attention to your portion sizes for the most part. So then if you're paying attention to it, are you moving towards your goal? If you're losing weight, then you're in the right ballpark. If you're not, then we actually need to pay attention to our portion sizes. So for example, oftentimes, like if we're like, well, I'm pretty much building Fitme plates, but then I ask about portion sizes, we find where we can fix things. It tends to be, we overdo it on carbs and fat. We underdo it on protein and veggies. And so when we balance that out and we get into a more appropriate portion size, then you end up seeing that shift. But for me, it's really easy to overdo it on carbs and fat. They're delicious. And so it's like, for example, if you're going to have nut butter or guacamole or sour cream, like it would be easy to add multiple portions of fat onto a plate and not even realize that you have 3 or 4 portions of fat. Julie, you wrote, we determined that I need to have a portion and a half of protein for my goals. Yes, that's something that we do in the metabolism reviews is we look specifically at exactly like the portion sizes. But yeah, it might be that you need more like a palm and a half of chicken to hit the amount of protein that you need. It is going to be one of these things where it will take a little trial and error and for you to proactively pay attention to it. I wish that there was some shortcut. All the shortcuts are lies. All the shortcuts are lies. Even if you use containers, which I think those are cool, like the containers that kind of ballpark your portions for you, it's still just the first step. Ultimately, you got to pay attention to your body, pay attention to your goal, see if you're moving towards it, and then make adjustments. Because like I said, you're not a robot. You're not some sort of calculator machine that we can just guess. We got to pay attention and see how you feel. And using your coach to help you adjust your portion sizes is going to be really key, and paying attention to how you feel. So what are the ways that you could feel? One, you could feel super full. You could feel super hungry. You could feel unsatisfied. You could feel cravings. You could feel tired. You could feel energized. You could feel bloated. You could feel all sorts of things. So those kind of feelings are how you tune into your body. You could feel strong. Those are ways that you could be like, I feel these things, and they may or may not be related to your portion sizes. Oftentimes when we talk portion sizes, like outside of Fitme, the solution is always, well, weigh and measure all your food. And at the end of the day, there's something to learn from weighing and measuring portion sizes. So I'm not going to throw that tool out completely. I think, taking some time and looking up things in MyFitnessPal or in one of the apps and learning, hey, actually a portion size is this, and measuring it out and realizing, wow, I was eyeballing that all wrong. There's something to be gained from that. But 99.9% of the people in Fitme have said they do not want to weigh and measure and count calories the rest of their life, or weigh and measure food forever. And so if you don't want to, then use it as a short term. If you're like, I actually have no clue, that can be helpful, especially if you're a numbers person. If you're someone who really does well with seeing numbers, like if you're like, okay, I get it. How much protein do I need to eat? I need to eat 140 grams. Well, if I split it up this way and I put this in these meals, now I got it. Some people do better with that kind of numerical way to use portion sizes. Some people that feels freaky and stressful, and using more of a ballpark and intuitive approach where we're using, hand sizes, using a plate to balance it out, and then paying attention to our body. A more intuitive approach is better in the long term. Either way, though, at the end of the day, I think that the eyeballing it, an intuitive approach, should be a tool that everybody has. So in conclusion, and then I want to open this up for discussion, what's the right portion size for you? One, it depends on some factors. Some has to do with your size, your age, all that stuff. Another has to do with your goals. What's the right portion size? Depends on your goals. Next, we know that we're going to have a starting point, like the Fitme plate guide being a starting point, or maybe an estimate of being a starting point, and then it may need to be adjusted because we're all individual special snowflakes, and it might not be the right one first to get us to our goal. It might take adjustments. Also, tuning into how we feel. How does your body feel? If you are in a deficit, I was just having this conversation with someone. If your goal is weight loss, you might feel a little hungry throughout the day, and that's okay. And eating like really quality foods that fill you up, especially like focusing on the veggies, can be helpful. If you feel stuffed after every meal, always super, super stuffed, and you're like, I'm eating like the right portion size, why does this feel like an enormous amount of food? Then it might be that you've dieted for a really long time, and we got to build back up to it. You might not be able to start there, right? Like sometimes just because we know, okay, hey, I should be eating 140 grams of protein a day, doesn't mean we can jump right there. Sometimes we have to build up to it. And so all of these factors are in a part of what's the right portion size for you. But for most of us, it is something we should pay attention to, something we should learn what works for us, and something we should be able to eyeball. And then if necessary, using tools like MyFitnessPal, or reading labels, or using a food scale, or using measuring cups can be really helpful to calibrate your eyeballs, is what I would call it. So let's use the last 10 minutes for questions or thoughts. Tell me specific to you what your questions are around portion sizes or around anything that I hit in today's topic. I know we got to have some. This is one of the reasons why, and again, I like giving everybody what I call bullshit goggles, like goggles that you put on where like bullshit can't get in your eye because you actually know the truth. This is why meal plans are not great. Because if a meal plan, if I could just like give you a piece of paper that told you like exactly how much to eat of everything, it directly contradicts what I just told you, which is that it depends on the person. It depends on a lot about your background. It depends on what your goals are. And that's why templates, meal plans, and calculators don't work and can be really problematic for you because they just don't take into account those things. And the best thing you can do is work with a coach and then pay attention for yourself and start to experiment.
So when we're talking about portion sizes, it's kind of funny. I'm like listening to you talk about it. I talk to people about this every week in coaching and doing the metabolism reviews. And I'm like, I think my portion sizes are solid, but I actually don't know. Sorry, my dog's like sighing. I'm sorry. Am I bothering you? Um, I think that I need to do what I have everybody do for the metabolism review. I need to log my food for a few days, and I need to actually see what I'm eating. I feel pretty satiated, but I don't really know. So it just sort of brought awareness around that for me. Like I'm sitting here figuring out for other people their portions, and I'm like, well, shit, I think I know, but I need to check in. I think it's something we need to check in every once in a while, regardless of whether we're in a weight loss season or not.
I find that people can inch in either direction. People who tend to overeat can inch in that direction. Then before you know it, your portion sizes are just way too big. And people who tend to undereat inch that way. And before you know it, portion sizes are way too small. And we're like, what's wrong with me? I'm having cravings all the time. I got my sweet tooth back at night. And really your portion sizes on your, Fitme plates have inched themselves way down.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons we actually encourage people to take pictures of their Fitme plates. It isn't just like straight inspiration and accountability. Those are sort of like side bonuses. But as coaches, we can see at least a ballpark of your portion size and visually get an idea of where you're at.
So, hey, Christy. So I think I have my metabolism review with Molly this coming Friday, and oh my gosh, it kills me to track my food. I struggle with it. So I really love just the visual, but I think you touched on it a little bit, but I don't know if you can talk a little bit more about what are those signs that you're full and that you're not eating enough? Is it that, because I think sometimes our full sense can be delayed, right? Like it can take a minute to kick in. So are there things that we can be doing while we're eating our meals to help those signals be working, and also retraining them as we are adjusting our portion sizes? Because I'm assuming if we've been consistent, like you said, if we've been consistently eating so low for so long, maybe those signals aren't there. And so are there other things we can be doing to kind of help those signals along and then just responding to them? Does that make sense?
It 100% makes sense. And it brings up two important points. If you do not have the time or capacity in your day to pay attention at all to your signals, then you probably are going to need to measure your portion sizes. Because if you're somebody who is literally at work and just stuffing it down your face so you can go back out and hit your next, like if you're a nurse or something, your next round or whatever, you're like, I'm not paying attention to my fullness right now, then it is a good idea to measure it out because you're not able to tune in. But when we have the opportunity to practice tuning in, how do we do that so we can start to see like, okay, which portion sizes am I actually able to pay attention to? Because I hear you, like I don't love tracking either. It can be a short-term tool, a check-in, like Molly was saying, but long-term strategy, not the one that I want. So there's a couple things. One, I think putting your food on a plate, an actual plate. Again, if you are home and you're not like out on the go, I think that can be helpful for portion sizes because it gives you a visual, just like we practice with a Fitme plate. And our eyes, so we're eating with all of our senses, our eyes, our nose, our tongue, we're like talking, we're experiencing it. So when we start to tune in to food, then we're going to have more signals like fullness or satisfied or any of the signals you might feel, or hunger, whatever it is, we're tuned in. When you smell food and it makes you hungry, that's like that signal to our brain. So putting your food on the plate can be a big help. Also, I know that there's mindful eating strategies around like slowing down the speed of which you eat. Like you described, having that opportunity to even know if you're full is a good strategy. And so I think if you are someone who is a social eater, and so you're sharing a table with other people, once you've had one portion of everything, give yourself a minute before you go back for seconds. Deliberately give yourself time, or have a glass of water and check in. Am I still hungry, or do I just want to be here with these people and keep eating? Because that's a different thing. And so slowing down the speed and then taking a pause before you go back for more is a good way to do it. Another thing to, again, putting zero judgment on this is like, how delicious is the food? And in delicious, I mean, is it something that you are aware of that you will overeat? Because again, everybody's a little bit different. But if you are aware that you are going to way overdo it, then just even that awareness can help you. So if you go to a restaurant, for example, and it's like your favorite restaurant, they give giant portions, you will eat it all. If they put it in front of you, then you can put some of it away and or split the entree with someone else. Because again, just the awareness around it, knowing yourself can be really helpful to tune into those portion sizes. And I also think, and Molly, feel free to jump in here if you have anything to add on that. But I think if you haven't paid attention in a long time to the feelings of hunger and feeling satisfied, then it may take time. It really will. You may be like, I ate my portion size and I still felt hungry and not satisfied. Or, it just might take some time. And trusting your body, dare I say, it's like the flip side of that. It's like, don't trust your body because it might take some time and it hasn't caught up yet, but also trust your body. If you're starving every single day, then tell your coach that. You're like, I'm paying attention to my portion sizes, but I'm still feeling like this. Or I'm eating the right amount and I still feel stuffed. Trust your body. It's telling you something. So after you've been consistent for a little bit, if you're getting the same signals, then let's try to figure out what's going on. Does that answer your question at all? I don't know if those are like hacky enough. Like,
yeah, no, that's definitely, I think that's a great place to start. Yeah. I think it's just, I'm the person that sits at my desk and rushes and doesn't pay attention. And, that's me.
Then
I'm that person.
Then your intentional time might be when you actually do your food prep. So if you don't have time to be intentional later, be intentional while you're
putting it together.
When you're putting it together. And that way, like if you're in a big rush, but then also there can be a couple settings that you can do just to maybe take it back a notch. So if you would be like 0 pay attention, maybe we can get to like 2 or 3 just by having you like not eat at your computer or actually sit down, even if it's 5 minutes, like go sit somewhere else for 5 minutes. And again, is it perfect? It doesn't have to be, but it's moving you a little bit closer to paying attention to it. We also don't get full and satisfied signals when we're not paying attention. Oftentimes that is that mindless eating.
That's what I was thinking about. When you can, turning off screens while you're eating, or like not reading a book while you're eating, because obviously if we're distracted, we can't pay attention to those signals. And I think so many times, I mean, I do it too. Like I'll check my email and stuff while I'm like shoveling a salad down my gullet. I have no idea if I'm full or not when I'm not there, and I'm distracted. So if you can, like Christy was saying, step away from the desk for 5 minutes. If not, being intentional prior to, but when you can pay attention to what you're doing, then you're using all of your senses and then you're much more able to interpret your body's signals.
Mm-hmm. We didn't even hit on processed junk portion sizes, and that was on purpose. Because again, we're not having that as a general part of our daily choices, it can, and if you choose to have it and you want to, or you just, it's just part of your day, you just got to figure it out, then I highly recommend looking at every food label always to pay attention to portion sizes. But I deliberately didn't want to focus on that for this call because I'm focused on what we're kind of doing on a daily basis. But I just wanted to add that note in there because I didn't hit on that at all. Portion sizes of processed or packaged food is especially important. You should read your labels and when possible, choose packages that are single servings. Because all these other things still apply, but you've got science working against you because some of those cues are not going to be as easy to understand. So for example, like what's a portion size of Doritos? Like Cool Ranch Doritos, I could literally eat mountains of them. They're so good. And I think the portion size is like 7 chips. And I'm not shitting you. Like 7 chips is a portion size of Cool Ranch Doritos. So they're not really going to give you accurate signals. Whereas like if you eat a chicken breast, frequently you're going to start to be able to interpret, the feeling of being satisfied or the feeling of being full or overly full. And so it's just different. So the no judgment. Next time you eat some Doritos, pay attention and see if you get any signals at all in what they are. And I think that's one of the reasons that it can be so easy to overeat calories of processed food because those signals just aren't as easy to interpret and they are designed for mindless eating. They are marketed and designed for you to mindless eat, to eat it in the car on the go, to eat it while you're watching a movie, to eat it at the ballpark, to eat it when you're, at a party and you're not paying attention. They're designed for mindless eating. And so that is why it's very difficult for portion sizes for those kind of foods. Any other questions before we wrap up? Tonight, your topic to, take home to your coach this week is to talk about your portion sizes. So if you've done your metabolism review and you know a ballpark of where you're supposed to be and you're not sure if you're doing it, it might be time to check in. Do a little check-in like Coach Molly was talking about. Are you hitting those? Do you need to measure them for a couple of days to see that you're in the ballpark? If you're not doing some of these strategies so that you can start paying attention to your signals, then that might be where you start with your coach. Tell your coach, like, I never eat food on a plate. I never pay attention to my signals. Like, I have no idea when I'm full or anything. That might be where you start. It's going to be different for everybody, but the point, your target for this week is to prioritize portion sizes and making an adjustment that's appropriate for your goals, whatever that is. Sweet, guys. I think that's everything. If you need anything, just reach out. But thanks for plugging in even on Super Bowl Sunday. It's great to see everybody's faces. I will see you guys this week and talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.